Welcome to the studio. Braska has joined me for another art talk. Hey, Braska, do you want to give me five? Can I have five? Yeah, she doesn't feel. You want to give me five? Oh, yeah, you don't want to do your tricks? That's okay. Someone has an attitude. With that attitude, you won't be getting Employee of the Month, Missy. Today, I wanted to come on and talk about how to sign your art as an artist and where. It sounds like such a basic question, but it is one that I get a lot. And before I talk about that, I do want to say check out CariniArts.com for my shop, my blog, my podcast. I'm trying to do more of these art talks, but I need your support. So please help me grow by subscribing and sharing the stories, the lessons. I do these things for free because I love it. So let's talk about it. How and where to sign your art. I have this story burned in my memory of being in high school in my first art class. And I was a junior in high school at the time, so around 16, 17 years old. And I finished this painting that was predominantly green based. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was predominantly green based. And it came time to sign the work. And I signed it with the brightest, most obnoxious fire engine red and took up probably about 20% of the canvas in the bottom right corner. And my teacher, Mrs. Strower, who had a thick Texas accent, I remember her reprimanding me and forcing me to redo that portion of the painting and telling me not to do that. And I'm thankful to her to this day because she told me that I was trying to make it too much about the ego, too much about myself. And I think that what happens oftentimes when we're younger artists is that we want to have this signature. And what I mean by signature is not necessarily our literal signature, but we want to have a signature style, something that we are known for. And so when we don't quite have that voice or feel comfortable that we have that voice, we try to compensate by perhaps signing something in a way that may detract or deteriorate from the art. Now, there are other benefits to signing your work in certain ways on the front, one of them being copyright infringement. However, these days with Photoshop, it's pretty easy to stamp that out and to just use that. I remember something that I did recently, and it wasn't even a painting, it was something digital based, and it had the Carini Arts tag beneath it. And when I Googled myself, which I do periodically just to kind of see what comes up on me, what's populating, I noticed that there was a shop that appeared to be based in, I believe, China that was selling one of my digitally based designs with my tag still on it. So never reached out to me, never anything. And somebody said, well, why don't you sue them? And I said, well, because when it comes to lawsuits, you have to have resources, you have to have time, and they're in another country. It's never going to amount to anything. So there are going to be times where it's just not going to matter if you sign it. But I think that we do sign our work, and it's imperative that we sign our work to take credit for what we create. We're proud of it. And a signature is sort of that final mark of, hey, I finished telling this story. This is the story that I'm telling. Now, where do I sign my work? So these days, and what I went on to do is after that, my teacher would have a sign on the front in high school, but had to be much smaller. And so I learned a humbling lesson there, a lesson in humility about not trying to make myself bigger than the story that I was telling. So I learned to sign it much smaller, maybe use something that was in the same color palette, very discreet, maybe even have it blend in with the painting. So it was very subtle, like you couldn't even tell that it was there, and to be consistent with that signature as well as the date. Now, going on to college, I had a mentor named Jane Brucker, and after taking her first painting course my junior year, because I had to do my undergraduate or lower division courses first, I learned to sign my work on the back. And I thought, well, if I sign it on the back, people might not see it. I might not get recognized. And what I learned was that by signing it on the back, I was putting this impetus on the work that I didn't want to take away from the story. I wanted to make sure that I didn't transform an experience into an object. And I did start to feel, in a sense, that by signing my work on the front, that I was turning it into an object. Whereas what I really wanted to create and share with people was an experience. So these days, when I finish my paintings, here's just a little piece from the studio that I pulled out for a little example. These days, I sign my work on the back. So what I'll do is I will take my palette knife with a bit of gloss varnish. I'll slap that across it, and then I will sign it, and then I'll throw another layer of gloss medium and varnish on top of it. So right there, I have my signature, which is pretty consistent with all of my work, looking like a smiley face tailing off at the end if I'm in a good mood. If I'm not in a good mood, it might not tail off to that smile. And then I have the actual name written out beneath it, and then I have the year that's written on it. Sometimes I'll put the titles, but with this piece, this is something that doesn't have a specific title at this moment because of the nature of how I do my work. But that's something that I can get into another time. So nowadays, I sign my work on the back. A lot of artists may choose to sign their work on the sides, or again, you can sign it, but generally it is, if you do sign it on the front, on the bottom right corner. But if you do, think about that. Think about how large it really needs to be. Maybe you start going a little bit smaller than you do, because I definitely come across some work, and I'm not criticizing any artists here, but I come across some work and I see these rather large signatures that tend to dominate or be more prominent and steer my focus away from the art. So again, by signing it on the back, I can keep the painting as an experience rather than an object. So just something for you to think about. I don't think that there's a wrong answer. Sometimes you have to learn things the hard way. So maybe you are signing stuff on the front, and hey, if you do, and if you sign it big and bold with bright fire engine red on a green painting, I'm not going to fault you for it, but I learned my lesson, and so I'm sharing my story with you. So please join me for more of my art talks here on YouTube. Subscribe, share, and check out CariniArts.com for much more from an independent artist, including my shop, my blog, and my podcast. Also, join me on my other platforms because I do a lot of cool stuff on Facebook and Instagram. And once I hit 1,000 followers here on YouTube, I can finally switch to doing mobile, at which time I plan to do more demos and tutorials where I will actually show you how to do these things like signing work, edge treatment, priming techniques, gessoing, underpaintings, staining techniques, and things of that nature. So have a good day. Check out CariniArts.com and leave your thoughts in the comments. I want to know where you sign your work and what you think about it. Have a great day.